Hi guys, and thanks for watching again my video on the rebuild of my Lotus Elise 135R. And in this episode we'll be looking at checking the tow control link, which is in the back of the rear suspension of the Lotus Elise. And the tow control link is a metal bar basically that adjusts the tow in of the rear wheels. We'll talk about more about tow in and tow out and all these things while we're going through the video, and probably the whole alignment is going to be shown in another video about aligning your Lotus Elise. Now, but for now we'll start talking about the tow control link. And it's a very notorious and well-known problem with Lotus Elises. The original stock cars that came from the plant had a bit of a weak spot there, and if that tow rod snaps, then you have a problem, like this. And believe me, you don't want that to happen to you, do you? So therefore, it's important to inspect it. So let's go and inspect mine now. Well, here we have it, the rear suspension, and the tow rod is connecting the wheel hub through a vertical bolt to the chassis, and this is the rod. Adjustment for the tow in and tow out is made by loosening up these locking nuts and then turning actually the metal bar left or right, depending how you want to adjust it. But that's something for later. So now we need to inspect it, and to be very honest, you should always look where the ends are coming into the basic bar, because that's where the weak spots are. And mine actually has a crack right here, and I'll try to show you this with a close-up. So you'll need a spanner 17, and you will need a in-bus number 8, and then you can actually undo this. Now I cheated on this because I haven't done before. Alright, so I probably need to take this one off as well, because that's part of the basic setup. We looked at the tow rod and we found that it actually had a crack. I removed it from the car, and it's quite obvious here there's a serious crack, and in fact the whole tow rod is kind of distorted. So that's very dangerous. So if you want to see what's going to happen if the tow rod breaks off, watch the tires. So normally the wheel is aligned along the body of the car, but if the tow bar breaks off or snaps, then all of a sudden your wheel could be doing this or it could be doing that. Now, can you imagine if your wheel does this, what happens with your car? You lose total control, and that's what you've seen in the video before. Well, let's talk a bit about what is tow. And tow is all about the position of the wheel horizontally along the body of the car. So if the wheel is pointing inwards like this, then we talk about tow in. If the wheel is actually positioned like this, then we talk about tow out. Now, the Lotus Elise is only using tow in, and I'll give you the details on how many degrees or how many centimeters or millimeters that is in my next video on how to align the tow in on the rear wheels, and the other videos that I'm about to produce on the total alignment of your car geometry. But now let's get in the house and let's talk a bit about the tow link itself and the replacement part that I got from Lotus Parts. It's a great piece of kit that I got. It's what's called the Motorsport Tow Link Kit, and it's great. It comes with many different things and many inserts, and you have to make sure that you put the right stuff up, because Lotuses are all a bit built different. What did you expect? I ordered a Motorsport Tow Link replacement kit from the Lotus shop in the Netherlands, and I had it the next day. That was really great, with some documentation. And the kit is spread around here on the table. It's a lot of stuff because the kit is kind of, I would say, multi-purpose, and It depends on your car, how it looked like, and what is your model. Is it an S1, is it an S2, is it a K engine, or is it already a Toyota engine? All these factors do play a role in the kit, and you really need to check it out on your car what you're about or have to use. Anyhow, I got my old rod here, and as you can see, it's pretty beaten up. And then I have all the new stuff around me. And I have to say, the new stuff is really well machined. It's rock solid. I mean, really, it looks really good. And even the holes that you have inside, where the ends are going into, are much deeper than on the original rods. Because that was kind of, not really deep. And the result is the cracks, obviously. Nevertheless, so if you're going to go for this kit, which I really recommend, you really need to look at your own old rods, because they come in different models, and this is mine. So I know, based on the few slides I'm going to show you, which insert I have to use on this. Right? So you basically got two. You have this one, and then you have that one. So it all depends on your car, what it is, which one you will have to use actually to put in. Now I know in my case I will need to use this one. I will stick it in this side, then I have the other locking part done on this side, and the bolt will go through with some washers, but you can better see it actually on the picture I'm going to show you, or you have already seen. So that's it really. So it is not complex, but if you don't know exactly how your car looks like, then order this kit, because it has all the options. In fact, it even has spare bolts for you. It has tie wraps for the dust caps to tie them down afterwards once they are over the bearings, let's say. Really great stuff. Have a look on the diagrams I'm going to show you, and then we'll start working it and putting it together. Now be careful, those rear ends or those bearings, there's a left threaded one, as you can see, and there is a right threaded one. See, this one is going up and this one is going down. So you have to mount it on the right side of the rod. And I'll explain that once we get the car being fitted with the new tow rod. All right. So this is the picture that applies to my Lotus Elise. I'm having the Rover engine in mind, and that's what I'm going to need. I'm going to need the straight insert steel uprights, which is this green part right here, which is this part, and that will actually go into my bearing, as so, and then the bolt will come through, and on the bottom you have to put this device in, and then you're done. So that's what I'm going to need. And this bracket that came with the kit is this one right here. I probably need to show it you. It's a bit difficult to show because it's the other side, but that's the bracket. And then you have the different pieces and inserts that go in there, like the red one. And then you have also the blue ones, which are going into the eye. So if you do it, look very carefully. Now, mounting the bracket, this one right here, onto the car, that is going to be a bit of an issue for some of us, because you may have to drill the holes into the chassis if they are not there. Now, most chassis do have it, but later S2s may no longer have it. In either case, mine has it, so I'm quite lucky. You may find the old one which is riveted in, but please drill out the rivet and use the bolts and nuts basically that come with the kit to fit it. And here you have the nuts and bolts that come with it, and you can really nicely fit it, as you can see over here. And there are other models which I show you real quick, but they are not my models, so I'm not too much interested in it, but maybe you might be. This is the one for the S1 with steel uprights, and you can see it's a complete different construct here, and in this case you would use different parts out of the kit. That's another one for an S1 with aluminum uprights. And I really like to thank the Elise shop for providing this extra information to me, because it really helps me, and it helps you as well, I hope. So as you can see, everything is in there. So this is a close-up on how I have to fit mine. It's a bit different if it's tapered, but mine is of course not tapered. Mine is actually a straight insert. If it was tapered, it would have been this one. And then here you have the S2, S3, and they have tapered inserts as well, and so on. So you can see you have all the different flavors. This is for the VX220. You should not grease these joints. The bearings, they are not necessarily, they are dry fit bearings, so don't grease them because then you will destroy them. But once you have the gaiter around it, then you might want to put some moisture protection on it. So this is the bracket that we have to remove, and as you can see, it's bolted down with 2 bolts, but also it has 2 rivets in it. So those are the ones I will drill out first. I have no idea why Lotus puts rivets up and bolts, but that's what it is. So now the intent is that I will drill out the remaining of the rivets with a smaller bit, but a bit which is not too big either, so it doesn't damage the thread. It's gone. So this is the old bracket, and now we'll fit the new bracket, which will fit just nicely. I cleaned out the other holes where the rivets were in, so now let's put it on and see how it goes. When we tried to fit up the plate as it was, it didn't really fit, so I had to enlarge the holes a bit so I can actually fit it now. So now things should just go in very smoothly. Meanwhile, I assembled the new toe link, and it's a bit of fiddling to get the dust gaiters on, but at the end it worked. The best thing to do is to spray inside the gaiters DWD-40 or some other liquid that makes it slippery, and then you can push the things through. Not that hard to do. Once they are on, then you put the inserts in, like so, and on the other side you do the same. First the tall one and then the small one, and then at the end you put tie wraps around it. You'll see this place actually to put the tie wraps. It's not that hard to do. All I need to do now is to cut them off, and then we can mount it. Now there's one thing you should not forget, and that is that the outer part of the toe link has to be fitted in such a way that when you turn it to the left, like so, that it is extending, as you can see, right? If you turn it to the right, counterclockwise, then it should get shorter. That is very important. Also notice that the outer side is vertical up, and that the part which is attached to the chassis is horizontal. Those are 2 important things. Now the last thing to mention is that if you want to adjust your car for racing purposes and you want to have the bump steer corrected, you may need some of those small washers, and they actually will go on the top of that. So you can adjust it. You may have to undo the bolt a couple of times and do the measurements, but that is something we'll show in another video. But for now, we'll adjust the new and the old rod about to an equal length, because that will get it close enough. I'll just put this one back where it was. So there we go, because I know more or less where the nut is, because I didn't undo it that much, and then we can kind of compare it, the two. So I think that's about right anyway. So it is not that accurate right now because we'll adjust the toe in later in another video. But now we are ready to mount a new tie rod or toe link. Sorry, I always say tie rod for some reason. It's a toe link. My English isn't that good, so I apologize for that. Anyway, I still have to cut off these little plastic leftovers from the tie wraps. Now these are tie wraps. and then we should be all set to go, and we can mount it basically. Piece of cake, right? Yeah, don't cut indicator, Steve. I should actually put my glasses on to do this, because I'm as blind as a mole. There we go. Right, so let's put it on. Remember that if you didn't remove the brake fully, that it has to be above the toe link, otherwise you will have a problem. I opened up the bracket a bit so it's easier to put the toe link in. Hey, I got it right this time. Okay. So there we go. Now don't forget to torque down these bolts to the right torque level, including the big bolt right here. We'll do that at the end. And now we have to put the locking nut and the washer at the back side of the bolt, and you have access through this hole in the chassis. It's not always easy to get at it, but it works. So we've got the back end locked into place, and now we'll bring up the front part of the toe link and hook it up to the front wheel hub. And we use a big bolt, stick it through, make sure you have the washer on, and then we just need to move it in. Like so. Make sure that you have thread all the way down to the bottom, because that's very important. And then we'll just put a washer up and a lock nut, and we'll tie it down. It's a 17, and that should go very smoothly, as it is all new. And of course, now we need to tie down to the right torque, and then we're all set. If you do this, make sure that the brake cable is above the toe link, otherwise you will have to redo it. So now let me just put back the brake clamp, and then I will torque everything down to the right settings, and I'm done. Now you notice that I don't have the brake disc on, because I still have to work on the brakes. You probably remember as well that I had a broken flexible hose for my brake system, so that's the next thing I need to put up. But these are all minor things, I would say. Now we clean it up a bit, and this starts to look quite nice. All right, we are done. The new toe link is in. We haven't adjusted it, but that's for the next video. But as you can see, we can now basically turn it, and we can adjust basically the toe in and the toe out, right? So if I turn it this way, I'm going to get more toe in. And just looking at that, I think it's about here. So that stuff we'll do in the next video. Now, a few more things. Once you put all the bolts in, you have to torque them down to the right torque. That's important. Because after all, you're working on your suspension. And that's the kind of stuff that takes you through the corners, that keeps you on the road. I was very pleased to have checked it and changed it, because looking at my old toe link, it was really bad, a serious crack. I mean, it was very risky. All right, so you might have noticed I don't have my disc on, but that's okay, because I still have to work on the brakes a bit. And that's it. This stuff keeps you on the road, and the better you've fixed your suspension, the better the car will be on the road. Now, for the moment, the toe link is not adjusted properly. The bump steer is not adjusted, and the toe in is not adjusted. But this is something for the next video where I will show you how to adjust those factors. But before I do so, I still have some work on this car, putting up, you know, a new flexible hose, because that was ripped during the accident, and changing the brake pads out and bleeding the braking system. But I will also change all the bushes on the suspension. But again, that's for another video. So keep watching, guys, and if you have any comments or recommendations, please send them to me, because I am always willing to learn. I'm old, but never too old to learn. See you.